Hello everyone, my name is Kwa, and this is the IELTS Listening Prediction Test. You will hear a number of different recordings and answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, check your work, and remember, all recordings will be played once only. Good luck!
Part 1. You will hear a woman talking to an agent who is responsible for flat rentals. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Hello, I've come in because I've got some problems in the flat I'm renting.
Oh, right. Can I have your name?
Yes, it's Eleanor Wazinski. I've been renting the flat at 13 Paulworth Road for 3 months now.
Let me see. I'll just get the details. Yes, here we are. Are you alone in the flat?
No, I originally rented it with a friend, but now my cousin is there.
Right, so there's 2 of you. And what's the problem?
Loads of things have gone wrong or are not working. And my contract says the landlord is responsible for them.
Yes, well, that's right. He will end up paying for the repairs, but in the first instance, you need to contact his service manager, as he deals with the day-to-day running of the flats.
Oh, okay. How do I get hold of him?
I've got the contact details here. I'll write them down for you. But anyway, just for our records, I should make a list of the problems.
Do you know how long they normally take to fix things?
I'm afraid you'll have to wait till next week before they can come over.
Oh, dear. Don't they do things more quickly if they're urgent?
Not in my experience. Now, just looking through your contract here, it says you are expected to pay £50 towards the cost of anything caused by wear and tear.
Yes, I realized that. That's not the problem.
Oh.
But I am worried about a couple of things getting worse over the next week.
Well, in that case, you can get a private company to fix it and get the money back from the landlord. I can give you a list of names and you can try to get them out today.
Okay, I think I'll have to do that.
Right. Now, where can the landlord get hold of you? We've only got your college phone number. Can we get you on that?
It's very difficult, but you could leave a message on my mobile if I'm in class. I'll give you the number, shall I?
Okay, that'd be great. I'm sure the landlord will need to speak to you because you'll have to arrange to meet up with him after the work is completed to sign the agreement that the work has been done.
Okay.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 7 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 7 to 10.
Now, can you tell me exactly what's gone wrong?
Yeah, well, first of all, there's a window in the bathroom that wouldn't open. The paint seemed to be stuck. We've managed to get it open, though I don't know what damage it's caused.
I see. Yes, the landlord may want to check that the lock on it still works. He checked all the taps and plumbing in the bathroom before you moved in, so they should be okay, but it may be worth another look, so I'll ask him to do that too.
Oh, right. Then we've noticed that the lights keep flickering, so I'm worried it means there's a problem with the electricity. Because we've also noticed that the washing machine keeps stopping and starting in the middle of a wash.
Well, that'll need looking at separately by a washing machine repair company. We'll get them out, and after they've looked at it, we can get someone else in to see if there's a more general problem with the electricity. The main switch may need replacing. It's quite old. Actually, if we're getting an electrician out for that, he could look over the heating system before the winter sets in, couldn't he? It was new last year, though, so it shouldn't break down.
That would be a good idea. The only other thing is in the hall. The carpet had started curling up at the edges where the door opens, and we've had to stick it down. We just used ordinary glue, so it didn't mark the paintwork. I hope that's okay.
You've had quite a few problems, haven't you? That's not very satisfactory. I will get on to the landlord. I'm really sorry about this.
Well, as long as it can all be sorted quickly.
That is the end of part 1. You now have 45 seconds to check your answers to part 1.
Part 2. You will hear a tourism representative recommending some local events on a radio program. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Good afternoon, listeners. Thanks for tuning in to 4KB. Jane Lewis is with us from Tourism Queensland to tell us about the annual Queensland Festival. Jane, welcome.
Morning, John. So much is going on for the next couple of weeks in our festival. Here in the state's capital of Brisbane, the music tent opens this week, and this will be an event not to be missed. As the name suggests, the music tent is an enormous tent where musical performances and activities will be going on throughout the day for the next 2 weeks. Monday is going to be really busy, as it's a public holiday, and the first day of the event. It's going to be lots of fun, but if you're free, it's probably a better option to leave it till Tuesday, unless you love crowds. The following day is when the master classes take place, and this requires pre-registration, so you can't just turn up, I'm afraid. The weekend educational workshops were so popular last year that they have been extended this year. They now run each afternoon from 1 till 4 o'clock before the evening performances start from 5. If you're learning to play an instrument, these workshops are great fun, so make sure you get along there. Tickets for the music tent events are available from the door, or you can purchase them at the ticket office located in the city centre. For the best deal, though, take proof of your home address to any library. As a local resident, you will be able to purchase discounted tickets. Apart from music, we'll also be celebrating our local history with a special walking tour around Brisbane's city centre. Not to be missed on the walk is a tour of Macquarie House, the home of Queensland's first governor. It has lovely gardens you can walk around or picnic in. This building has a fascinating history because it was built on the very same spot where the first settlers landed, so it's really worth a visit if you enjoy learning about our local history. No Australian event is complete without a barbie, and I think the big barbecue is going to be fantastic. It's not quite as big as the Millennium Year barbecue, but there'll be local and international bands playing on the main stage for the first time this year at no extra cost. As always, the food will be prepared by top local chefs. My mouth is watering already. I really recommend going along to the Railway Museum during the festival, because trains are such an important part of Queensland's history. On loan from Queensland Rail at the moment is our very first steam train. You won't be able to see it in operation, but you can hop on board and have a meal in the old dining carriage. There is also a wonderful display of uniforms that have been worn over the last 100 years.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
Another really special opportunity is a return trip on our only remaining steam train, which runs from Ipswich to Toowoomba. If you purchase a family ticket, as well as a trip on the train, you receive a free Australian flag each to wave while aboard. There is a small charge for the Ipswich Museum tour, but I think it's worth it, as it makes an educational day out. The documentary film you can see there is interesting, and it's well worth the $2 entry fee. On the return train journey, the kids get a lovely activity book designed to teach them about the history of the steam train. Don't forget to bring your sunscreen and hats. It's going to be hot up there in Toowoomba at this time of year. And finally, I'm going to tell you about an event called Our Favourite Place. This is an opportunity for the public to vote for their favourite spot anywhere in the state. Maybe a park or a restaurant, it's up to you. You can vote even if you're not living in the area at the moment. You can vote as often as you like by sending in the voting form, or, if you prefer, send a text message from any Australian mobile phone number with the name of the location. It's so easy. Not much time left though, so get those votes in as soon as possible. The winning location will be announced on the last Saturday of the festival. Also remember that no age limit applies for this one, so this is a great way to get the whole family involved.
Well, thank you very much for that, Jane. Now we have music.
That is the end of part 2. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 2.
Part 3. You will hear a discussion between a student called Simon and his tutor about a presentation Simon is going to give. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 25. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 25.
Good morning, Simon. Come and sit down. How are you?
Fine. Just a bit worried about the presentation. I wanted to clear up a few points with you, if that's okay, Dr. Azari.
Of course.
Well, first of all, I wonder if you've got any clearer idea of when it's going to be. Lots of the other students are talking about early June, around the 6th to the 7th.
No, it won't be as early as that. It won't be before the open day on the 11th. The 14th to the 24th of June is the period we've been penciling in.
Oh, right. Bit of a breathing space then.
Yes. And you know that they take place in the lecture hall during the early evening?
Yes, I remember you saying that.
Yes, we discussed it.
Can I also just check the format?
Yes, there are two parts. The first part is about 40 minutes, and that's when you give the presentation to your seminar group.
Okay, right, I've got that.
And that's followed by a 20-minute interview with Dr. Brown.
That's the part that I'm less clear about, to be honest. What sort of thing do I need to have with me for the interview? Just the materials I've used in the presentation?
Well, yes, of course. And he specifically asked that students bring along a list of objectives as well. This will form the basis for the discussion.
Yes, right.
And he's also asking each student to bring along their project outline.
Oh, okay. I suppose it'll help him to see where the different parts of the presentation fit in.
Exactly. And because he's also interested in the sources you've drawn on, you should take your book list along. Everything that has informed your thinking.
Okay, got that. And will he be giving me feedback?
Oh, yes, that's the whole point of the exercise. You'll get a checklist from him.
Immediately?
Yes, he'll fill it in on the spot. And you'll also get what we call thinking questions.
Oh, yes. We had those for the formative essay, didn't we?
That's right, you did.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 26 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 26 to 30.
And what sort of criteria will he use when giving feedback?
Well, basically, the kind of things he'll be looking for are whether you've done wide reading.
Well, I don't think I'll have any problems with that. My book list is 6 pages long.
Right. But you also need to demonstrate that you can design research.
Yes, that's been the hard part.
And, of course, the usual requirement that you can set out a clear argument.
Okay, that's very helpful. And can I ask about stage 2, after the presentation?
Well, if all goes well, which it should, you will need to write your theory chapters.
Okay, right. I've already started thinking about those.
Good. And in addition to that, you'll have to do your data analysis.
Oh, right. Should I be getting on with that now?
Don't worry, Simon. The best thing is to concentrate on the presentation.
I know. I'm always looking ahead.
Well, if you do want further information on that, there's always the website.
Oh, have you got the address?
Yes, it's www.studentlink. All one word for StudentLink.
Okay, right. Well, thanks ever so much, Dr. Azari. I feel a lot clearer now.
Pleasure.
That is the end of Part 3. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 3. Part 4. You will hear the first part of a lecture about some research into child development. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good afternoon. The subject of my lecture today is child psychology. I'm going to talk about research in that area, how it has changed in recent years, and how it's likely to develop in future. First of all, there's the way we look at the subject of child psychology itself. Traditionally, we used to talk about 3 different aspects of a child's development. Social development, that's how the child relates to other people. Cognitive development, how a child reasons or explains things to himself. And emotional development, how the child feels about people and things and events in the world around him. And those 3 areas were kept very separate, and different psychologists used to work in different areas. But what you have now is the growing realization that you can't draw those hard and fast boundaries. The 3 aspects are all seen to be connected. So that's the first thing. Another thing, in the past, people tended to study behavior in artificial contexts. Take, for example, the type of behavior referred to as learning. Traditionally, it was investigated by studying how animals behave in laboratories. But now, thanks to psychologists like Vygotsky, there's a growing realization that you can't isolate things that happen during childhood. Behavior is very much influenced by the child's background and by the particular situation that he or she is in at the moment. Is he with peers? Is he with teachers? Is he with parents? And so on. Another far-reaching change that has taken place within the last 20 or 30 years concerns the way children themselves are regarded. Formerly, the developing child was regarded as passive, as merely reacting to outside stimulation. Let's take the parent-child relationship. This was seen as something that parents did to children, and if something then went wrong, then you blamed the parents. But this is a view that simply can't be upheld, because we know now that there are no simple, straightforward correlations between the early influences on a child and its personality. The reason being that our genes also play a part. And this brings me to the next point. In the past, ideas were very much influenced by the child psychologist Piaget. Piaget was very insistent that for the first 5 or 6 years, all children are self-centered. He meant that they project their own feelings and thoughts onto other people. But recently, people have started to listen to other views. For example, the American psychologist Harriet Reingold said all along that we must listen to young children and the way they talk, and observe them in all sorts of social situations with an open mind. And she gave examples which illustrate children's awareness of other people very clearly. They are not just thinking of themselves all the time. And other psychologists have taken up that suggestion. And yes, we have no end of examples now. Then there's another area where things have changed. In the past, we psychologists had a rather lazy attitude towards culture. It was a factor that we just ignored. If we wanted to study children, we just popped round the corner and got hold of the nearest, most available group of children, and then assumed that what we observed applied to children right across the world. Let's take one example: the importance of stimulation during the first few weeks of life. It was generally thought that if babies are not sung to, talked to, taken out for walks, shown objects, played with, and so on, then their development was going to be held back. But a study in Guatemala showed that this is not the case, at least not in all contexts. It is the custom for mothers in one area of that country to keep their babies in the house during the first year. They never take them out, and they don't encourage visitors or noise. In other words, they actually prevent them from being exposed to the outside world. I won't go into the reasons for this, but the point is that these babies develop into perfectly normal, healthy, intelligent, bright, and active children. And what happens in that first year or so of life apparently has absolutely no negative implications for later development. So we have to be very careful about the extent to which we make assumptions that everything that we see under our own noses is necessarily universal. So those are some of the changes that have taken place in psychology in recent years. But what about the future? There's already been some very interesting work which suggests that learning is possible even at the prenatal stage. The most obvious example is the infant's ability to recognize voices. It's been shown that the moment a child is born, and as soon as one can possibly test it, it is already capable of differentiating the mother's voice from that of another female stranger. And there's simply no explanation other than that the child has acquired this knowledge in the womb. So if I'm asked what's likely to attract a lot of interesting work in future, I'd say it's this combination.
That is the end of Part 4. You now have 45 seconds to check your answers to Part 4.